So I'm just going to ramble at the camera for a few minutes. I'm sitting out in the woods, and I had a purpose, and it's kind of fallen through. But doesn't mean that the trip's been wasted. Um, I'm just sitting here thinking, and it popped back in my mind that I've noticed something on YouTube in the Bushcraft community that has come back around again, and it's the question: what do I need to get started in bushcraft? Which is great, because if people are asking that question, the interest is there. More people are still coming toward this hobby, and it's a great hobby. Um, but I thought I'd go ahead and just throw my thoughts in. I'm not gonna call them opinions or anything like that, because I'm not pushing anything on anybody. I have a very small channel here. I'm not monetized. I don't get anything other than just the coming out in the woods and having something to do, which is actually something I'd like to point out is, what's your purpose? When you start thinking about all the gear lists, the 10Cs, the knives, the axes, the leather, canvas, ultralights, traditional, there's a lot to that kind of bombards you. But that's what I would ask is, what's your purpose? What are you after? What are you hoping to get out of it? Are you wanting to get into primitive skills? Are you just looking to survive? Are you just wanting to get out in the woods and realize, oh wait, I might, get lost or something? Which are good points. So yeah, what's your purpose? Because that should really drive your gear choices. Um, it doesn't have to be expensive. I'm wearing this custom rig. It's all leather, bison hide, tomahawk, stuff like that. But I've accumulated this over years, and I've actually made a lot of this myself. And that's part of it for me, is learning the new skills and putting them together into a workable system. But also, I'm really into natural science, learning new plants, identifying trees. Um, I started I started building bows years ago, so I learned a bunch about trees then. But then I bought a house, and I actually uh, use wood heat now. So that led me down another path of learning about trees, as far as what's available, what's the best firewood, what's the worst firewood, overthinking it all, because that's what I do. But what do you need? Just, and I'm not a survival instructor. I don't have a piece of paper that says I know anything. I'm just someone who likes going out in the woods. I always have. We used to go, when I was a kid, up in the Cascade Mountains and camp. I know about a little bit about vintage Coleman stoves and lanterns and stuff. So I have a collection of that. I met other people that are into it too, and we've done some trading and gifted. I've been gifted some stuff like that. And that's another thing, is the social aspect. You run into like-minded people. But what do you need to get into bushcraft? And this is going to be kind of erring on the side of safety, but also, what can you take so that your trip isn't ruined? Um, because I'll tell you straight up, some of my best trips, I've carried this 8-pound kid along with me, never once got into it. Um, it was more about reminiscing with someone I hadn't hung out with in quite a long time, or maybe taking one of my kids out. The only thing I ever got into was just the Leatherman on my belt or the knife in my pocket, because we had to do something. Other times it's, stopping and maybe it's cold enough out and it's not super crispy like it is right now because we haven't had rain in 2 weeks and it's over 100 degrees. But you stop and make a small fire. You've got some stuff in your bag that you can make some hot chocolate or coffee, and you sit down and have a conversation with, your teenage kid that you haven't had to have one-on-one time with for a while. So what's the purpose behind it? But whatever it is that takes you out in the woods, that's what takes you out in the woods. What I like to think of as a starting point is you have no skills whatsoever. You don't know, a pine tree from a hickory tree. So you're not going to be doing a whole lot of stuff collecting off the landscape. So what can you take with you that is going to help you, protect you, save the trip if things go sideways? So one of the things that I like to carry and I recommend is a poncho. Don't mind the cup, although that is something that you could take. But a poncho, and you don't have to spend a whole lot on a poncho, but something that can protect you from the elements if you get caught in a sudden rainstorm, or the worst case happens and you've got to sit down on a log for the night. There's some survival knowledge that I can throw in with that. Like, one, don't sit on a wet rock, especially if it's in colder weather, because that wet rock will suck the body heat out of you. Kick up some leaves, pick some pine boughs or cedar boughs or some kind of evergreen, learn some of the plants around your area, get some knowledge, some basic knowledge, and make a bit of a cushion and that insulates you off the ground. But you can take a poncho, put it over you, and you boom, have an instant tent. But if you can't find a poncho, or you don't want to spend the money, you can't spend the money, find a 40 to 55 gallon garbage bag, one of the big thick drum liners. You can cut a slit in the top of that, or just take the corner and make a hole, pull that over you, boom, instant tent, and it's pennies on the dollar. So some kind of cover element. Another thing, and you absolutely you don't have to have any skill whatsoever to just put on a sheet of plastic or nylon. Another thing I would suggest is a whistle. If things go bad and you have to sit in one spot and let someone find you, you can yell till you're blue in the face and you'll lose your voice, whatever. A whistle, no energy whatsoever, no skill to use. All you got to know is 3 blasts means help. So you can sit there and do 3 toots on a whistle, and it can be something like this. I found somewhere it's an aluminum whistle, very loud, or something cool like this carved deer antler whistle that is just as loud. If you're wanting to go natural or something, there you go. This is also a fire kit, but again, I'm assuming you have 0 skills. So some kind of cover element. If it's orange, yellow, that's what I get all my kids. They have ponchos and they haven't really learned a whole lot of the bushcraft stuff from me, like carving tent pegs and stuff like that, or 3 years later they ask me, hey, how you do that, which I'll show them, whatever. But they get a bright yellow, pink, yellow, red, something that you can see from a long distance, that can be seen. All they got to do is put it on, hang it up from a tree, and they have a signaling device, visual signaling device. We can find them. If they get lost, they also have that, again, cover element and a whistle. Absolutely no skills, but they both can make a big difference. They keep you dry. They keep you, mentality. They keep you protected. If you're worried about getting lost, a simple simple compass, and you can find these or something like it, but just a simple little scout compass, and learning some basic navigation that, but all you got to do is know that, okay, it's pointing that way is north. Okay, great. That way's north. I walked in from that way, and know that, you check it before you go into the woods, and know that this road out here was the opposite direction. So you figure out where north is, if it's that way, and when you get out of the car, you happen to be going west, well, you just have to backtrack. So it's not hard for basic land navigation. I play video games like Skyrim, and you have a built-in compass on your heads up, and if you can do that, you can navigate, in that kind of thing too. One thing I would say though is go to places where you can follow a trail, a well-marked trail. That way, even if you have to, you do get caught in the dark or something, you can just stay right there, and someone's going to come by, or you can walk back out in the morning if it comes to that. So I would recommend those three things before you ever get into, hey, what knife do I need? Some sort of bag to put your stuff in, and a water bottle. And I'm not talking, it has to be this stainless steel water bottle so you can do this, this, and this. But some kind of water bottle that you can carry decent enough water in to keep yourself hydrated. Not so important in the cooler months, but definitely in the warmer months. But it's something that will last you the rest of your hiking career. If you do get something that can take a little bit of heat, you advance in skill. This is a double layered insulated bottle that I carry around. It's got some cool water in it, because why not? I have the convenience. Get with a pot, yes, I can boil water. Not in this one, it's not big enough to do anything with, but this is just a nice little coffee cup that I got. It's a little titanium deal that I could make a little tea or brew of some kind in. But a good water bottle that can be, you can put the chemical treatment in, stuff like that. And that's really where I would start with is, a water bottle. You can throw some snacks into a little shoulder bag or a backpack you find at a Goodwill or a thrift store. Start simple. Just start simple. But like that, have a purpose. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to learn, plants? Are you trying to just kind of get into the frame of mind? You're just wanting to try it out. That's what I would recommend, is some kind of cover, like a poncho. This happens to be an Arcturus. I got off of Amazon for probably not even $20. A whistle, signaling device, a water bottle, and if you're really getting out into the frontier regions that you don't know where you're going, you're exploring, get a compass. A good, reliable compass you don't have to break the bank on, but something that at least points north, so that you aren't walking in circles, or you can backtrack a direction. If you end up going over this hill and whatever, take a look, and you can at least, if you get turned around, that my compass was pointed that way. I walked west. Now I've just got to walk back east, and I'll find that trail I left. And the rest of it, you can pick up as your interests expand or get focused. Well, I really want to learn wood carving, get a Swiss Army knife. Well, I want to do this. I need to, learn these deals. Get a notebook to carry with you, and you can take notes, field notes and stuff. So anyways, that's what I thought I'd do. Just a regular guy's thoughts on getting into bushcraft without, going hardcore survival or, hardcore 18th century. Just it's simple. It's really simple. I come out here to relax more than anything, and it's educational. I like that one guy's phrase. It's a classroom that has no walls. You know, I don't mean to steal that. I can't remember the guy's name, or I'd give him credit. But it doesn't. It has no walls. It has no destination. I'm always learning, and I've been into this for probably at least 15 years now, probably longer than that. The actual bushcraft part of it, because before it was camping and survival, but it became a hobby. So, anyways, this is going way longer than I thought it would. I'll post it, see what happens. Anyways, I'm gonna go find something else to do. Bye.